Can you feed a cat a fried egg?
This episode was all about the villains, and I am on my hill that the villains suck in this show.
Is it because it's the same villains we've had the last, 3 seasons, technically, kind of?
Yeah, they're just redoing everything they did in season 3. But this show relies entirely on the original as well. You cannot just start with this because otherwise you'll have no idea who Bullseye is.
Yeah.
You know less about Bullseye than you would if you watched the 2003 Daredevil. And Kingpin has done nothing.
This is our 5th season of Kingpin, and he's still, I feel like I'm same dude, right? He's just doing the same stuff, right?
Yeah, despite all the Echo stuff, fundamentally same guy. And I think that's just starting to really annoy me. Everyone's stupid because this episode we have Fisk's grand plan is to do a boxing match for charity.
Okay, I like
which
it so
I guess
far.
is half hype. It's just a general hype thing. I think the showrunner thought it would be a cool idea because in universe, what is it doing? They say for a bit they're going to use it to draw Matt out, and that's why it's a Fogwells. But
I was thinking maybe he's doing it to try and just win the people over.
But he's already got the people.
Allegedly.
Yeah, that's another thing.
I've turned a blind eye to your emergency powers. With most of the voting public, it's working.
Let's go through it because Bullseye's a moron because he wants to kill Kingpin because he wants absolution.
Yeah.
That's his one good deed. He does this by not killing Kingpin and instead killing a bunch of task force people, every other task force person. If only he knew how to shoot through windows.
Correct. If only he had the perfect aim.
He talks about how Vanessa tricked him and used him and stuff like that. And it's Fisk did that to you in season 3. How many times are you going to fall for this? And yes, all of his stuff in season 1 was reshoots and added. So he technically didn't exist there and they've shoehorned him in.
He's trying to do one supreme good deed to equal out all his bad he's ever done and to show that he's on the good side now.
That's what I don't get. It's this came out of nowhere, really. He's decided to be a good guy. So many things have happened to him that could have caused growth. Nothing did. And then he took a pot shot at Kingpin last season. And now he's just become good while hiding out on the run as Tony.
Tony, Bubala, you're such a good boy.
We get a regular day in the life of Bullseye. Waking up, making eggs. He's friendly with the neighbors. He's just a regular guy. And the egg at the very start of the episode, he cracks it open, and for some reason, there's a subscribe button in it.
That's a healthy breakfast.
Well balanced. Goes to a diner. He's obviously a social weirdo. They kind of get that. They show you that straight away because you don't really see him in these social situations, at least not in Born Again.
Yeah, we haven't seen it.
We haven't seen him be a character really. Would you call this an arc? We don't see him. We don't get enough valuable time to be an arc. I would call this more like a flip-floppy character where they're we'll write him in however we want to fit whatever scene or story we need for the moment.
That's my problem with the villains. They're not doing anything or go anywhere.
So he goes to this diner. He's a weirdo. He calls the AVT on himself, kind of, on the Punisher. Kills everybody in his fun, wacky ways, bouncing things off walls. I think the coolest one's he uses a lobster claw.
Thank God none of them tried to shoot him with a handgun.
This show has the same thing that Invincible has, where it's if the person you're in a fight with isn't on screen, they don't exist.
Yeah.
Even though they should be hey, that guy should be standing there holding an automatic weapon. It's no, because he's not who this person's fighting right now. He doesn't exist. He can't exist.
Yeah, and it's very comic booky fight, and I say that in a bad way. Yes, this is obviously a comic book show, but Daredevil in season 3 felt real. The way he was using the environment and doing things. He was doing some bullshit, basically, but it all made sense. Whereas in this season and last season, he's basically Bullseye from 2003.
Yeah. Toothpick in the straw, in an eye that kills somebody.
Killing someone with a tooth last season, these are insane feats.
I get perfect aim,
yes,
but perfect pressure with the mouth to spit a toothpick through someone's eye to pierce their brain.
Yeah, because even yes, it's a comic book show, but I think it's gone beyond my believability. He does some normal cool stuff, throwing the spatula through the guy's neck or doing the forks and bouncing them up and catching them. He still does this stuff I want him to do, but then he does some bullshit a lot of the time.
Do you know what the most bullshit one is? Where he uses the ketchup bottle and he draws the perfect bullseye 3 circles.
Weirdly, I'm more okay with that than anything else. But it is funny to me that he does that to show that he's Bullseye and it's a calling card. But then the person that walks in is Matt. And
Yeah.
it's just, you can't keep doing sight gags with the blind guy.
Well, he would be able to smell the circles.
Well, that's the thing. He comes in and like looks for clues. He finds a coin on the floor, but it just doesn't feel like he's navigating the space via hearing things, or like he's not doing anything interesting.
Yeah. He touches the table, and then he knows that he jumps over.
It smells like feet.
He's doing Aragorn from Two Towers. A hobbit lay here.
Oh, yes.
And another over here.
Because legit, like, he smelt the counter and he's like, that smells like shoes. I guess someone jumped over this counter. They didn't use his power in an interesting way, is what I'm trying to say here. And it's just like, then he finds a coin on the floor and he's like, oh, this exact coin, this is from my church when I was a kid. Mm-hmm. And I guess Bullseye knows that from season 3. So again, it should be called season 5. And that annoys me as well. But I guess that's every reboot nowadays. But then he goes to the church and then he does some power bullshit that I don't really understand either.
They didn't show it very well. We must both just be very stupid. Someone will correct us in the comments. Thank you, that guy. He goes, where can I find him? I'm not going to kill him, blah, blah, blah. And he goes, he watches the Sunday Mass from the window, from his window.
Yeah.
And then it cuts to Matt doing his hearing jittering. And then you see Tony / Bullseye opening his apartment door.
Yeah, we whoosh like across the block or whatever. And I'm like, what the fuck?
Tony opens his door and Daredevil's already in there?
I don't know. Like, yes, that's how the passage of time they decided to show it. But yeah, what? Because if this was Batfleck Daredevil, when the bell of the church rings, that's such a big reverberation. Maybe it like gives him like a massive echolocation burst and he can like see something more interesting further away. But here, it legitimately just looks like he goes, oh, that's Bullseye's voice, and like goes across the block. And I'm like, what the fuck? It made it feel like in season 1 where they would shoehorn something in because they were doing reshoots and like cramming scenes in. This felt like they had a Daredevil fight with Bullseye and they're like, fuck, how do we get them together? Oh, I don't know. He hears him go into his apartment because I could not connect those two scenes together if I tried. But suddenly Daredevil just goes from one to the other. And that's insane. But then they get to have their fight. Because I guess you get more fights in this episode than usual, so I won't be shocked if like people loving it.
3 or 4. 4 if you count Kingpin's fight as well.
Which is usually we get one at the intro, one at the end. So like people that love fights are eating good, I guess. So I wouldn't be shocked if this is an incredibly highly rated episode. But I think this is the one that broke me for stupid.
No.
Because they do just be like, Kingpin, he's untouchable to this guy named Bullseye who can kill anyone anywhere, including an apartment full of goons trying to kill Cherry.
Using anything, by the way.
And like Kingpin is constantly in his windowed office. Kingpin goes from place to place. He goes to Red Hook, so like his car could have been shot at. Or like anything. Apparently it's so easy to like take out people in cars because you always know where there was. Because remember at the end, we were wondering what the fuck Buck's doing. And then Buck goes to kill the Greek sailor. Never transport anyone in the Daredevil universe.
Yeah.
Because even in season 1 of Born Again, during transportation of, I would call them clients if this was still a lawyer show, but they die. And it's just, you didn't need to show Buck killing this guy. You didn't need to just be like, oh, we've already got his testimonial. He's dead now, sorry. But let's talk about Fisk for a little bit and then we'll continue with the episode. So what's Fisk doing? He's
becoming like a bit of a stress ball because now he knows that Bullseye's after him.
What is Kingpin doing? Because like I'm saying, my whole thing this episode is that the villains have no depth because I'm still struggling to figure out what Kingpin's doing.
Yeah, he's trying to run this city.
He's had a whole season. All he's trying to do is kill Daredevil.
If anything, I reckon you know what his character's doing in season 1 of Born Again, which was the worst TV ever, then 2, because number 1 was like him dealing with being a mayor.
Yeah.
Remember that stuff? It was like kind of okay. Like he'd be like, I'm going to have this pothole fixed today, you know?
Then you see him like clapping for the kids. And then he was like, I fucking hate this red tape. I thought it would be easier to run the city as mayor. Like there was a show there. Like there were ideas. Whereas this season, he wants to kill Daredevil. He wants to kill Karen.
He wants to manage his free port.
Yeah, which the government, because the CIA is moving guns through his free port via Matthew Lillard. Surely the CIA would have done that anyway.
Yeah.
So it's kind of just like, it feels like so many disconnected random little things happening in the show to get Matthew Lillard in it.
Yeah.
And then Buck shoots Matthew Lillard's guards. It's like a big dick competition, but Buck beats 2 random goons.
Young Soprano pointed out, you were a MI6 Night's Watch, whatever. You know, we have to actually see Buck do something. Because even with the assassination of like the Greek guy, we don't actually see like Buck doing any like cool shooting.
It could have been anybody.
It could have been anybody.
It's just like
really.
British gentleman comes to torture scene and is like,
Yeah.
that's not how we do that. And then he like kills him and you're like, oh my God, he's actually
I
bad.
miss the Fixer guy from season 1 of Netflix.
Always. We'll never forget Wesley.
But Fisk stuff, weird. So it starts off, him and Vanessa are in this weird place where, are they getting her storyline confused with the therapist? Because she also has vigilante PTSD.
Yep.
And so she's like putting her gun in her purse. And he's like, you can't be anywhere near my boxing fight.
Which I assume is because he doesn't want to see him do violence. Even though in the original show, she likes it when he does violence. And that was the big turn in season 3. It's like, she's kind of horny for that violent shit. And he's like, we can connect on so many more levels now that I know you're also insane.
Also, is it like, maybe like, is it too sweet of a pot if we have like both the people Bullseye wants to kill in the one room? Like, he's going to take that chance.
Yeah, they do kind of
Maybe.
allude to it being a trap
They
for
don't
Daredevil.
talk about it. So we have to to try and like infer these things.
You walked out of the room for this scene because it was so fucking boring. Vanessa and the governor go to have a chat, and the all-time worst line comes out of that congresswoman's mouth when she goes, Vanessa, you could have done all of this on your own. Why did you stay with Kingpin?
You could have done all of this on your own, and yet you chose to do it with Wilson. Why?
And I'm like, what the fuck? She was an art dealer.
Yeah.
Like, that's still kind of all she does.
I mean, season 1, she was the Queenpin.
Of this show, yeah. But, like, that's still using
But did
all
people know that she was Queenpin? Because she was underground boss.
I guess maybe she was also a legitimate businesswoman. It was all Kingpin's money still. It was all the money that he made throughout the other evil doings. It feels so weird for her to just be like, so Queenpin, you're an incredible woman who doesn't need a man. Why did you choose man?
Well, female governor.
I don't want to incel this shit or anything like that, but like that's just the weirdest thing to write into this show.
Yeah.
And also, she accomplishes nothing until her last shot of the show.
The last shot of the show.
Yeah.
Because I was out of the room for this scene. I think I was getting popcorn and peeing. What was Vanessa's goal of being with the governor for this scene?
As far as I can tell, it was literally just a chat to get her some screen time and give her something to do.
Oh, Vanessa's going to like smooth things over and like try and calm the governor from looking into Fisk's doings?
Yeah, because the governor says, can you promise me that you'll temper his darker impulses? Which leads me to believe that the governor does know that this ex-con is still a con. And it just feels like there's so many easier things to do than have Fisk in power.
Well, it's like also like the governor isn't also benefiting from the illegal stuff. Like, because the one meeting she has with Fisk is she's like, it was okay while like the city loved you, but now it's like shit, stuff's turned to shit. But if she was like, I looked the other way with the port stuff because I'm doing my own business there, but it's almost like she doesn't even know about that stuff because Kingpin had to do it all like secretly in season 1, remember? He was doing like heritage listing stuff or whatever.
Yeah, her only thing is that what she said last episode where she said, I looked past it because the polls are up. But like, there's only so far that will go. Whereas now it makes her sound like if Kingpin doesn't have a wife, he's going to go crazy. And like her knowing that is an insane thing for her.
Doesn't she know he went to therapy?
The reason why she had that conversation with the governor was so that we could basically say, if Vanessa wasn't here, Kingpin would go crazy. I sure hope something bad doesn't happen to her. It's literally like Vanessa in this episode just needed a scene so that she could say, I'm 2 weeks away from retirement.
Yes. So Fisk goes to Red Hook during this, just before his boxing fight, and Matthew Lillard kind of jump scares him, / like ambushes him, and he's like, why am I sitting on a case of Kalashnikovs?
And he's like, why is wombat poop cubed?
How do we make this guy quirky? Give him a fun fact, Make him say fun facts when Fisk is like really annoyed.
It just feels like low tier writing, honestly.
I do love him though, because it's just him. It's just Matthew Lillard.
That's the thing. The villains, paper thin. The performances are carrying this show because you got Matthew Lillard,
He carried Five Nights at Freddy's.
Vincent D'Onofrio, Charlie Cox, and then we're about to have Jessica Jones. Without the performances, or like, it's just ridiculous.
That's what I was saying to you and Steven. Like, it's sad because the two best actors in this show right now, Matt and Kingpin, we get like build up to one scene with them each season, and they're the best actors.
It's because they know each other are evil now, whereas before they couldn't prove it. So you could get so many high tension scenes of them talking with Matt Murdock and Fisk, where like their masks are aside. So like they're not being evil. They're just being like businessmen and lawyers and stuff. And you could do some really clever stuff there. But now if you put them in a room, they have to kill each other.
Yeah.
Like they cannot not try to kill each other. So now you just can never have them talk again. Season 1 did it when they're in the coffee shop, and that was cool. Everyone was like, holy fuck. Like they advertised the whole season 1 based on that scene. But they can't do that anymore because they would just kill each other.
A quick aside, the head AVGN guy, he has like a 1-second scene where he goes to Matt's old office, storms it looking for the swordsman.
Yep.
And then he's like, say hi to your buddy, Matt Murdock, for me. The last episode, he said he doesn't know. Like, he said, I'm going to get Matt and Daredevil for you. But the lawyer chick doesn't know that Matt's Daredevil.
Correct.
So yeah, Fisk has this weird altercation with Matthew Lillard because Lillard's like, these are supposed to be funding a rebellion somewhere. And then Fisk is like, just give me time. He's stressed, because I guess the mayor stuff's not going well. The Vanessa stuff's not going well. The Bullseye stuff's not going well. Like, he doesn't have a grasp on stuff.
Well,
either way,
it comes down to he's done nothing.
He's done nothing, but also he has no goal, so we can't see Kingpin get any wins. Kingpin's not winning anymore. He's not like getting the upper hand on anyone, really. He's just losing. And then Matthew Lillard's like, well, like, you're not pulling through your side of the deal, are you? And then Buck assassinates 2 guys who are just 2 American servicemen doing their jobs.
Yeah, I probably like maybe shady, but still CIA guys. Buck,
pretty cool though. Quick on the draw. John Marston over here. And then Fisk's like, just give me like time, please. I have to go do a celebrity boxing match. And then they just leave the scene.
No more Lillard that episode.
All right. Also, we'll just get another boat like the North Star to transport all this stuff out of here.
And then Fisk says, if we get another boat, we'll just have the same situation again. And I'm like, put 5 more guys on it.
What about lots of little boats? What about an aeroplane?
Literally, Daredevil is the only person that took down that one boat. And the only reason Daredevil took down a ship, is because the one rule was if you get boarded, scuttle the boat, which was stupid.
What could Matt have done?
Exactly. Just have 10 more guys with guns aimed at the door. Matt can't come in, and then the boat sails through.
Do you know what the backup plan should have been? If Daredevil boards the boat, drive it out into the ocean. Because then you get a Daredevil free boat. Because he's not going to kill the captain.
Legitimately. That's what I mean by everyone's a fucking moron and their plans make no sense. Like, they came up with this Red Hook plot, and it doesn't like service any of the characters.
How come Daredevil isn't wearing a body cam and showing this? You're telling me that wouldn't start its own like uprising or like open the eyes to the world?
He walked into a room full of caged rich people. Even the biggest Fisk supporter would probably be like, why are they in cages? Yeah. Like, why hasn't the swordsman had a change of clothes in a month? Isn't that a bit... But like, no, instead they're like, nah, doesn't matter. Don't
it's
think
like,
about
no,
it.
we have to record these people on like a Sony like handheld camera on a 4K camera. You're like, hold on a second, that's an expensive camera. And she's a fugitive who's unemployed.
But now they're rich because the swordsman gave them all the money.
He's like, have my resources.
Yeah, we got sidetracked again. Tell me about Fisk and punching people.
Yeah, so the next time we see Fisk, he's getting his hands wrapped by like, the old guy at the gym being like, yo, you look good.
Is that the cut man?
The cut man. The cut man's wrapping his hands, which, I don't know, depending on what governing body sanctioned this, sometimes the other guy's coach is supposed to be in the room to make sure that it's all done correctly.
I also don't think you're allowed to punch out their mouth guard and then senselessly beat them to death.
Well, it's up to the ref to stop and be like, I'm going to put the mouth guard back in your mouth.
Bad ref.
But there was the one thing that I hated about that match, well, just quickly before we get there, Buck's like, I'm here for you. I'm going to be right here next to you the whole time.
I'm not going anywhere.
And then he's getting like his phone's buzzing and Fisk's like, you better get that. You must be busy.
But that was when we were like, what does he have to do? But that's when he goes kill the Greek guy. And we're just like, why? Why was he doing that? But
then AVTF guy's like, it's all right. We have like 100 dudes in there, plain clothes, uniforms, fully automatic weapons. Everything.
They cut to the plain clothes in the audience. It's meant to be inconspicuous. And he's like,
it's the dudes doing this.
He's got like a hand in his thing.
But then, yeah, so we cut to the fight. I was hoping it'd be like Tombstone.
I assume famous wrestler. Yeah. As in like in universe.
Maybe there's like some lore. Like that's the guy who beat Matt's dad.
It is in Fogwells as well for no reason.
He beats this guy up. The most egregious part of this fight is Fisk is pushing the guy. He's holding him by like the back of the neck, getting ready to punch him in the back of the head, which is like the one place you can't punch people in boxing is below the belt and square on the back of the head.
Is that when Vanessa walks in?
And then he sees Vanessa walk in and then the guy turns around and like draws blood from Fisk.
And that's when he goes
He
angry
nerd
mode.
rages. He's like... And then literally Bobby Boucher's him. And people are like, oh my God. Like the crowd is like shocked. He hits him with like one right to the ribs and then like a left cross.
They did a Mortal Kombat, but without the like X-ray thing.
Without the X-ray.
Yeah.
Like you just see like the... But then also it's like, we know how strong Fisk is.
Yeah.
Like we know that guy's probably dead.
The crowd was like, oh my God, that's disgusting. Like that's so brutal.
But then the people who love it obviously loved it. And all the, I'm assuming liberals are like, oh my God, violence at my boxing fight. You're crazy, Kingpin.
Like they hold it for so long that then it's like, oh my God, will they like this? But then everyone goes
I
crazy.
respected the guy to be like pronounced dead in the ring. Vanessa shows up. He lets her in and she's like, quick, kiss me in front of everybody, like, you know, for like the cameras and stuff. And then...
Bullseye,
baby.
But yeah, instead of Bullseye walking in, immediately throwing a knife at Kingpin.
Which
killing
nothing
him.
would have stopped him.
Yeah.
And people could say, no, Vanessa was body blocking him. He could have thrown it off something in the rafters, bounced it off a corner ring post, hit the bell.
There's probably a big thing above them, right? For like lighting. That could have fallen on them and
He could
killed
have
them.
thrown like a hypodermic needle with AIDS in it and slowly killed Kingpin.
I'm going to play clips of Bullseye trying to kill Kingpin in season 3. And he's like, any chance he gets. Or I think he's actually trying to kill Vanessa for most of that fight. Kingpin's like using his like bulletproof vest and everything. And like, but no, he's got nothing on here. He could have very easily died. But instead, Bullseye decides to kill every plainclothes AVTF guy in the audience and then think about going after Kingpin. But he uses like Kingpin merch, which is just another like, wow, look at this tacky merch. I'm so glad our leader doesn't use tacky merch.
100% premium crystal.
And then he throws it, and then it is kind of fun that Kingpin smashes it with the belt to protect himself.
Yes.
But Kingpin accidentally kills Vanessa.
Oh no. In an Underworld-esque reveal where she's like, Wilson? And then like slowly turns and has it like embedded in her head.
Oh, and this was post her shooting Bullseye. She's getting spirited away by her bodyguard, but then says, no, fuck this. I'm going to use my gun that everyone told me would be pointless against the supervillain Bullseye because people with automatic weapons can't kill him. But I, Vanessa, Queenpin, will kill him. I think she fires like one shot. And just boom, straight through him. And then Bullseye's suddenly like, I've never been shot before. Oh God, I'm going down. Oh no. And again, it just pissed me off. It was completely stupid. Like, there's so many ways you could write that scene to be cool. Why did you choose Vanessa getting a shot off on him in the dumbest way possible and then killing her anyway?
When there's probably way more AVTF around. And they're also in the ring. There's people with automatic weapons.
Well, it wasn't even like he was distracted in that moment. Like, he wasn't doing anything that would have stopped him from not getting shot.
He dodges automatic fire at the start of this episode in the diner. They're shooting at him with automatic weapons and he just like does like a slow dive over the counter and perfectly fine.
Yeah.
But Vanessa, one shot.
I was pretty positive on the last 2 episodes, but this one really pissed me off for just like multiple dumb things.
I thought the episode itself was okay from like an out, like
in a vacuum.
In a vacuum, you're like, that was a good episode. But then when you sit down and you talk about it for 40 minutes on tape.
See, I was doing that during though.
Yeah.
Like I was like, that was a cool action sequence. But why? Like, why?
Yeah.
Matt dressing up in a AVTF uniform made me laugh. But that happens. I'm just so pissed off by these paper-thin villains. But we'll speedrun the rest of it. All of the prisoners give Karen Page a testimonial. Karen Page takes that SD card. She gives it to Little White Tiger, who gives it to Food Truck Kid, who then gives it to BB because her and Daniel are on a date. It was such a poorly edited scene, in my opinion, because yes, there was an awkward exchange. There's a normal amount of time for like an awkward, like, oh, that's a bit of a tense.
Oh, you're talking about like the 10-second pause when he's like,
does Daniel know what's going on?
oh, you're a celebrity. I'm like,
you can get that in 2 seconds. And then it's like a bit of a tense, oh, did Daniel realize?
Yeah.
But no, they just keep staring at each other silently. And it's like, BB, look more guilty. I fucking dare you.
She's
like she's
like clutching at her like
scared.
the pocket where the guy slipped the thing in.
Yeah, like she's on a date. She's normally not a date according to her, but she's never been scared before. Like she's always pretty confident around him so that he likes her.
Chad Goat Daniel a chance, baby. He cooked you like veal mignon, whatever.
It would be a date if he was skinny.
If that was Henry
Brought to
Cavill.
you by GLP-1, our first sponsor.
Oh my God.
Fat loss. That's everything else that happens. Matt does not do much in this episode, and I'm okay with Matt not doing much because he
does a bit of investigating.
Yeah, he gets a fight, but like this is the villain episode. If Matt had other episodes in this season, I'd be like, that's cool.
He whoops Bullseye's ass. And I'm going to say it's because Bullseye was caught off guard.
And not wanting to kill him though.
Correct. We get a good line delivery of Matt being angry again at another person bringing up Foggy because he's like, blah, 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 the shooting of your friend. And Matt's like, fuck you, buddy.
I reckon next episode will be Foggy flashbacks. Because episode 5. You always get bloat episode 5.
At the end of this episode, he tackles Bullseye out of the way, and then I thought it looked really goofy. He like throws his billy club and like zzz, like 1 kilometer a year zooms across the room and then like goes through a window, and then they like are just like gone in the night. And so I wonder if we're gonna get like a Matt and Karen looking after like a chained up Bullseye, and then Bullseye like talking to him.
Super dumb episode in my opinion. I can see it being high rated in a vacuum and like people being like, wow, I got fights, I got
Best
fun.
episode of the season.
Kingpin in boxing attire, punching someone. That's a cool visual.
Whoever did the makeup, Vince D'Onofrio has big arms.
And the compression socks. Someone thought, someone had the cool idea of, making Kingpin box. That is cool. But the episode was stupid. And I'm actually really annoyed at the show now.
Yeah.
I guess I was always really annoyed at the show. What did you think though?
CG egg? CG egg.
Does look a little floppy.
CG egg.